archaeology. Get out of there, Dan!
Hey, everybody. I don't know how we sound right now, Richie, because it's 30 seconds behind like it normally is. Yeah, so I'll tell you in a minute.
All right. Well, because I noticed that I moved the gain down a little, so I put it all the way back up, so it might be a little too loud.
Okay. Well, let me see here.
By the way, did you share it?
Sound pretty good, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Most of that hiss is gone too.
So. Well, we put it into the right input this time.
I know, right?
Oh, you did share it out. Neat.
Yeah, it's shared out to a bunch of places. So there's a couple people watching. Errol Charles is watching. I know he's down in the Caribbean. We've talked about that before.
I'm gonna be down in the Caribbean.
I know, right? Oh, that's where a friend of the podcast, Bill White, is right now. He's in St. Croix.
Really?
Yeah. He just responded to my Facebook post asking. I was asking why he's in St. Croix, and I haven't looked at that yet. So I don't know if it's vacation or archaeology related. So anyway. I can look that up if we're all curious.
Yeah. More importantly, welcome.
Oh yeah, hi, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he says he's down there doing archaeology. So great.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. Christmas archaeology in St. Croix. That sounds like a movie or something.
Wow. Actually, I mean, I can imagine like colonial era archaeology.
Yeah.
That'd be something that was like right up his alley.
Yeah, he enjoys all that stuff. Yeah, he's really into it. So
like
cool.
One of my last classes when I was an undergrad, we had to read about colonialism and how it affects the mindset of Haitians.
Oh yeah.
To this day.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh. So did you do anything interesting this week, or should I start?
Well, so people know when was the last time we recorded? Saturday?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's only been like 4 days, 5 days. But yeah, I did some stuff. I turned in a proposal.
Wait, really?
Yep. Some other little things. I can talk about that later. But why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
Oh, well, this morning, my beloved French press, which I got 2 of them. I got a glass one that I don't use as much because in the morning I'm not as,
coordinated.
Yes. And then I got a plastic one, and it had a crack that has slowly developed into an actual leak.
Oh my god.
So it's dying. And so I was researching all the options, and it made me think, I don't know a single archaeologist who isn't a coffee snob.
Well, we like things that wake us up in the morning when we've been out late the night before.
And I know some people, like a certain Amanda we know, like you can't talk to her before she has her coffee in the morning.
Yeah. A quick story about her, and actually it wasn't even her, it was somebody else that was on that project with us. Was it her?
Yeah.
Yeah. My God, it was my first camping project with those guys, and I remember stepping out of my tent because I have a jet boil in my French press, like in my tent, right? So I'm there, but they were making a fire, and people were cooking over like for breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget coming out, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she just like glared at me as I walked by because she hadn't had her coffee yet. But that's not uncommon.
Well, one reason I was thinking about that is because like I feel like you've used like everything. Because I was thinking, should I go with an AeroPress or should I go with the Chemex? But I ultimately went with the Chemex, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you're going to use it for. I mean, if you're looking for something that's a little more durable for field use or constant travel or something like that, but you're doing a lot less traveling right now.
Yeah.
And if you're just using it at home, the Chemex pour over, depending on how big it is, if you want to do individual cups or the big one I've got upstairs, I can get 4 cups of coffee out of that.
I was thinking, man, who is coordinated enough to use an AeroPress in the morning?
Oh my God. Right. Well, and also I drink more coffee than that. Now, if we're doing long field work, I actually would be fine with a single cup of coffee. And an AeroPress gives you an espresso-like cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Because you use like fine ground coffee. It really is kind of like an Americano that it gives you.
Well, only if you use it upside down, though.
Well, I always do the upside down method.
Oh.
Always.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't use it the way that they tell you to.
Oh.
But that gives you a really great cup of coffee. But it's only 1 cup of coffee. You got to go through a lot of work for each cup of coffee. Like, you got to reheat your water. If you got the ground beans, that's fine. If you don't, you got to grind the beans again. It's like making espresso out of an old-style machine every single time. I'm like, man, this is just too much. I want something that'll make me like 3 or 4 cups of coffee so I can just slam them.
Oh my God, that's like the reason why I bought my vacuum. Actually, I have a whole bunch of them now, but a whole bunch of vacuum-style coffee makers.
Yeah, the vacuum presses. Yeah, those are cool. I've never used one, but I've seen them work.
Ooh, and I got the vintage American one.
Nice. Electric or on the stovetop?
Oh, heck no. Not on the stovetop.
Yeah.
But you know,
So-
I realized when I was doing my eBay searching today, the Japanese have thought of everything.
Yeah.
There was something called like a nitrogen, like they had some kind of nitrogen thing, and I'm like, no, that's too much work.
Dude, nitro infused like cold brew coffee is all the rage these days. A lot of places around town have it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
And you know, the Japanese even have a single serving cold brew coffee maker that's like $12, and you put it in the fridge.
Nice.
Yeah.
Single serving seems like seems like a lot of effort for one serving.
True.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we went through the French press cycle as well. I brought probably at least a handful of French presses, the glass ones that we traveled with when my wife and I were both doing archaeology.
Wow.
Well, here's the reason.
Yeah.
Because of goddamned.
Motel coffee.
Brian's got a question, but we'll answer
About
that
coffee?
in a second. Yeah, no, it isn't. But it was just real quick. It was hotel bathrooms. So a lot of times, you know, the hotel has the bathroom behind a door, and then the sink area is outside the door, right?
Yeah.
And there's usually like a really small counter space around that sink. My wife knocked the French press off of the counter and either onto the ground or into the sink and broke it at least twice. And we ended up going to the metal REI one that
Ooh,
REI
neat.
had, like the GSI metal French press. It's like a 32-ounce metal French press.
Yeah.
That I still got. That
I
thing's
feel
never
like
broken.
That's like a universal archaeology constant. Like almost every field
Right.
trip I know carries that.
It's great for outdoors, especially for camping, because it's a
Yeah.
little more insulated. But we hadn't done that much camping, you know, with the French press. It was mostly hotel stuff we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
So we had the glass ones, but she still kept breaking them. So let's answer Brian's question real quick.
Yeah.
He says, "Hola, gents." He says he can't listen as he's at work, but other people can benefit from this answer. Apparently, is what he's telling me.
Yeah.
He says, "What's the coolest job you've been on, and why?" And then he says, "Was it because of where you were, what you found, or some misadventure?" Do you want to?
Oh my god.
So, what's the coolest project you've ever been on? Is basically what he's asking, and why
Damn
is it the coolest project?
Damn it. I feel like it's going to be influenced by the fact that that I just was thinking about recently, but for me it was the Ruby 999. Ruby pipeline. Because of all three. And all the money.
All three and all the money. And why do you, the Ruby 999? Why do you call it that? We didn't ever call it the 999.
Oh, that was the internal designation at the company.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I was only reminded of that because Facebook's like, 7 years ago today you did this. And I'm like, oh, neat.
I know. What would we do if Facebook didn't remind us of our past, right?
Ugh.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest feature of it. Honestly, is
Yeah.
the memory stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. But as far as for me, I would say, I mean, I feel like I've been on a lot of really cool projects, and
Same
I'm not
here.
going to include my field school, although it was probably the coolest thing I've ever done. Just
Oh.
like digging in Africa. I mean, I can't really top that.
Oh, man.
But as far as professional archaeology goes,
Yeah.
I would say one of the coolest projects I've been on. God, it's a toss-up, really, and it's not even because of the archaeology. The archaeology kind of sucked, but it was the either. I'll throw them
Yeah.
both out there. Either the Virginia project where we were on Clear Lake, Virginia, or the
Ooh.
project what we did off the Cape Fear River in North Carolina near Wilmington, and both of them was because of lodging. And this is what I think people miss about CRM.
Yeah.
We talk about what's the coolest artifact you found, what's the coolest feature you found, what's the coolest site you've been on,
I don't
what's the
care
coolest
about
stuff. CRM is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
CRM is a lifestyle. So when somebody asks me the coolest thing that's happened to me that's related to CRM, I have this question in profiles in CRM. It's what's the best thing that's happened to you that's related to being an archaeologist?
Yeah.
And I can say I say it can be personal or professional, and everybody always answers. A lot of people answer, "Oh, it's the people I meet. You know, it's
Yeah.
the this, it's the that." But I'm thinking, let's branch out of that a little bit. First off, if you're married to an archaeologist, you pretty much should say it's your spouse, right? Like that's the, you know, if you don't say that, I mean, come on.
Divorces are cheap, aren't they?
Lauren and Jess said each other when I did them. Yeah,
I
I'll just
remember
say that. Yeah. But I got to say, and I did meet my wife, so if I go beyond that, I would say it's the experiences. Like that Clear Lake, Virginia project, we were
Yeah.
doing shovel tests around the perimeter of this lake,
Yeah.
and we were doing it for their what is the controlling agency for dams? Their FERC regulation, their
Oh, yeah.
Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
Yeah.
they were FERC certification. They have to do like every 10 years or something
Yeah.
for the hydroelectric dam. And part of that was we had to call the dam every day, find out what the lake level was, because the lake has a high level that they won't go
Yeah.
past. They'll just dump a bunch of water off the dam if it gets to that point.
Oh.
So there's a high level. So we had to
Yeah.
say, okay, well, the lake is at 1,842 feet today. The high level is 1,845. So we had to look at the shoreline where we were working and say, how far out would the water go based on the slope of the shoreline? And we had to shovel test that whole area. So we had to shovel test all the potential areas where water would cover if the lake were at its high level. Yeah. That was hard to determine, by the way. But anyway, it was cool for two reasons. One, first off, we didn't find shit there. But two, our field vehicle was a 24-foot pontoon boat, like a deck party boat kind of thing.
Wow. Oh my God.
Was our field vehicle, which we parked at the brand new dock they built for us, basically. Yeah. Because they wanted to do it anyway, but we rented the place for 3 months. We rented this 18th century bed and breakfast right on the lake. Neat. And we were up on this hill. They were off season, because it was like late fall going into winter, so it wasn't like really sweet weather. But no, it was spring. That was right. It was late winter into early spring, because I remember we were out there for Memorial Day.
Ooh. So no ticks yet.
No, we didn't really have that many ticks. But when we were just getting off the boat right on shore, we weren't really tromping through brush or anything. So that was nice. But anyway, we're staying in this bed and breakfast. We each got one of our own rooms. There's a bunch of rooms there. They're all unique, it was really cool stuff. Yeah. And there was like a little cabana area down by the pool, and it was, or not by the pool, by the lake, and there was a Miss Pac-Man machine down there that you didn't need quarters for, you could just start it. Yeah. And it was just a really cool place. Yeah. And then the other one was the one by the ocean where we stayed at Curry Beach in North Carolina. Ooh. Our field house was, we had 2 3-story condos that we all had. And I had, since I was a crew chief, I had one of the upper story ones with my own bathroom and a balcony that looked out over the ocean.
Wait, so you're not going to mention like Tonopah or the Clown Motel or anything?
My God. Forget that. So.
Actually, now that I think about it, like one of my, we were only there for one night, but the one accommodation that always sticks out to me was when I was going down to 395 and we stayed at June Lake for a night.
June Lake is great.
Yeah.
I love June Lake.
And it was off season.
Yeah. I've never stayed at June Lake. I've just stopped and had lunch at that little place.
Oh, well, that comes into it.
Okay.
But the rooms we got were meant for like skiing, but it wasn't ski season. So they were like big apartments. Each of us got our own little apartment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, which would have been cool for everyone else. But, basically we went to that little restaurant, which is also the bar. Yeah. And then I came back. I'm like, I want to go bed early, so I can enjoy this place since it's so much bigger than my apartment.
Right, right.
So I did. But what happened is that everyone else, like all the other 3 people who were there, they kept drinking, and then the White Russians came out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then you'll recognize some of these archaeologists like Mr. Greg, Zach, Bruno,
the usual suspects.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then apparently the 3 of them could not find the way back to the hotel.
There's like one road in that town.
Exactly. And there's like one motel. Yeah. But 2 of them managed to get back to the hotel, but the third one, Mr. Zach, was wandering around almost all night.
Oh my God.
And in the morning I got up first because, I was the only one who got to bed at a reasonable time. And we're like, where the hell is Zach? So we go and we knock on pound on his door, and he comes out looking super haggard. He's like, we're like, it's 7 o'clock. He's like, what? I just got into bed.
Nice.
And he wasn't lying. Like, he literally was so drunk that he crawled into, like, the first open vehicle he could find. The first unlocked vehicle. Oh, my God. And slept there. Yeah. Like, for most of the night. And the only thing he had was his Carhartt jacket. And the worst part is that he had left his phone there. Because we were calling him. Like, where are you, dude? That's when we started pounding on his door. He's like, oh, shit, where's my phone? Yeah. So, after we spent the morning, I probably shouldn't mention this, but after a morning of... God, not mimosas, but the other drink, the tomato-based drink.
Oh, Bloody Marys.
Yes. After a morning included bacon and Bloody Marys and stuff, we went around and looked for his phone.
Nice. All right.
That was actually, my God, that was a fun project.
That sounds fun. Yeah. Well, we have another question.
Ooh, really?
Michael McCaffrey asks, first... I'll answer his second question. He says, "Where are y'all?" And we're at the Reno Collective. That's where we're. That's the building we're in right now, in Reno, Nevada. So it's a co-working space, and we have a podcast studio here at the co-working space. Yeah. And I hear we're getting a new table Saturday. and we're going to be revamping the space a little bit. So
I've been hearing about this for months.
He tells me Saturday. So anyway, and when you were telling your story, he says, definitely sounds like field archaeologist.
Of course.
True story, buddy. So he asks, and I'm not sure what he does in the field, but he asks, maybe he's just asking as a general question so we can tell our audience, but
yeah.
Who pays you to do archaeology? So, Richie, who pays you to do archaeology?
My, let's see, my rich uncle and my trust fund.
Nice. If only. That person would pay me to podcast, but not to do archaeology. Actually,
there was one project I was on. Well, you were on it too, but you weren't on it for that rotation.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. God, it's not the Monte Cristo one. It was another one where we were out, like, digging, and then you came a week later. But then there was some dude there. Because, we got our per diem after. Remember from this company?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, he didn't know that. Even though he'd been working for this company forever. And so he was the only field tech I ever met who said, well, that's no issue. I'll just call up my trust fund and have them wire me some money.
My God.
And then, like, guess where he lived when he wasn't, like, when he wasn't doing archaeology? He had a boat in I don't know, San Pedro or something. Wow. A big sailboat.
Yeah, that must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, not to go on too much of a tangent.
Yeah.
Sailboats aren't as expensive as you think they are.
True.
Like a yacht-sized sailboat, you can get for literally a fraction of the price of the similar-sized powerboat.
True.
Like a live-aboard sailboat. And second, if you're docking that down somewhere that's not like in a hot tourist destination, but it's in one of the other ports down in like a tropical place off Mexico or Caribbean.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad side hustle to make that your winter side hustle if you knew what you were doing and take tourists out on it or something.
Wow, that should be a really good idea.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that expensive. You'd have to get the boat there or buy one there.
Yeah.
More likely you'd better off buying one there. But anyway. So let me get back to his question real quick before we get some more here, which was, who pays you to do archaeology? So the real answer is developers and our clients pay us to do archaeology, basically, because we're CRM archaeologists. So Richie, as primarily a field tech, is paid for by the company that hires him to do archaeology, if you want to go up the line. I own a company, so I'm paid by my client to do archaeology. And my client might be the BLM. It might be the Forest Service. It might be a gold mine. I just did a proposal this week for a gold mine.
Yeah.
They've got just a really small thing, a compliance issue they've got to deal with. And
what about if you're a subcontractor?
Well, typically, if you're what you mean an archaeology subcontractor, well, then you're directly paid by whoever you're subcontracting from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what subcontracting is. You're paid by whoever has the contract.
Yeah.
I've done that before with Sonia, who you've met on the CRMR podcast. It's I've just done some work for her, here in this state, because she's based out of Utah. So I was a subcontractor, and she paid me directly.
And let's not forget, all clients always pay on time in a timely manner.
Oh my God, we don't even talk about that.
And they never go bankrupt.
I know. Michael's saying we need to come to the Southeast. He will host us. I will tell you, Michael, I've worked in the Southeast. I actually got my start it was technically Minnesota, and then my next project was in Florida.
Yeah.
But then I worked a lot in the Southeast, in South Carolina. I worked for not Columbia. I worked in Columbia. My wife and I lived there. She's from Charlotte. Yeah. We lived in Columbia, South Carolina for, probably a year and a half while I was working for S&ME.
Yeah.
And I worked for what the heck's the name of it? Our Archaeological Historical Conservancy with Bob Carr out of Florida, and Janus Research out of Florida.
God, I've heard of all those companies.
I know. Well, they're big on shovel bumps because they're always hiring people for big shovel testing projects.
Yeah.
So you always see those. You always see those guys a lot because they have a heavy rotation of people because they usually need like 40 people, for their projects.
But I always admire the people who can stick it out in the Southeast.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, my favorite time working in the Southeast was wintertime because you could crash through the briars because they were dead and friable. Like you could take your screen in one hand and your shovel in the next and just form a barrier and just go right through them.
And less ticks, I assume.
No ticks, typically, like in the wintertime, when it got cold. And, the funny thing is, and I shouldn't say this out loud because the ticks will hear me, but I have never had a tick embedded in me.
Neither have I.
And I've only found a couple on my skin that were crawling around, but never found one that was in me. I don't know if it was if I held the right amount of the right amount of DEET and sweat and sunscreen, or if I just have a skin chemistry that they didn't find tasty. I'm not really sure what it is, but I never had a problem with ticks. The whole time I worked in the Southeast, never had a problem with ticks. Oh, and he said agreed, I think, to the hopefully the working in the winter.
Oh my God, that makes me think of an archaeologist I once worked with. He found a tick embedded in a very private place.
Oh my God.
But he found it when he was incredibly drunk. And so he decided to take a lighter that intimate place and almost lit himself there. But thankfully his wife was nearby and grabbed the lighter out of his hand.
Oh my God. I mean, ticks. I mean, that's the first place I still check for ticks if I'm in a tick area, even though I've never really had one on me. But you always check the warm, moist places first.
Oh, God.
I remember a girl I used to know. She's not in archaeology anymore. Her and I worked together a lot, and then she was, I'll admit, she was a little bit codependent. She relied on her friends for a lot of things, like really heavily, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But when we stopped working together, we worked together for a really long time, and we even shared a room one time for a little while, and we go out and do things together. We were pretty good friends at the time, and but she's got a real quick tangent here. She's got a classic archaeology story. Like, she was working in New Orleans, I think, out of a New Orleans office, and her car broke down. Yeah. And when the job ended, she couldn't get anywhere because her car was like literally broke down to the point where I couldn't drive anymore. So she got a job as a waitress, and she stayed there for like, I don't know how long, a long time as a waitress, and ended up going back to school there to be a social worker. So because her car broke down and she couldn't afford to fix it, she got out of archaeology and became a social worker.
Neat.
Isn't that crazy? That's a typical, like, it sounds like just what happens to everybody. Anyway, the point is, we were on this job in Vermont, and then I left, and then that's the last time we worked together. Yeah. And then she ended up going on some other job later on, and she called me in tears a few weeks later, wherever she was working. It was somewhere in the Southeast. I can't remember where she was working, but she called me in tears because she got home, and she had like 12 or 13 ticks on her back that she couldn't reach that were embedded, like, digging into her back. And I was like, you need to go call somebody, get one of the other girls on the crew to come over and help you. Like, she was trying to, get them. And I was like, no, don't do that. Swallow your pride a little bit and have somebody help you. Because those ticks might be in places where you can't reach either. She was a small girl. She was like just over 4 feet. Just over just under 5 feet.
Oh, so ticks had a shorter journey.
I know, right? So... But she was tick buffet, man. She was just like, they were loving her.
Oh, that grosses me out.
Oh, it's so gross. I always think about that. Whenever I hear ticks, I remember her telling me that on the phone.
Well, I always think about seed ticks.
Oh, those are gross too.
And what I didn't know and most scientists didn't know until recently, is those are the ticks that give you the spontaneous allergy to meat. Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, because scientists kept thinking it was psychosomatic until they made the link. Well, I did just hear that come out, how ticks can, if you get that... Yeah, I guess if you get that one, whatever disease they'll give you, it can make you allergic to all meat, like red meat, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, seed ticks are so gross. Right. Like, I mean, have you ever seen them in the field? I've seen them, yeah. They come in like little balls. Yeah. Just like hundreds of them. Yeah. Yeah. And then they look like little bits of pepper on like you. It's like, oh, gross. I've never seen any on me, which doesn't mean there hasn't been any on me. But I've seen them, like, in their environment, Oh. Yeah. And apologies to anybody watching this. I'm following the stream on my side here, not just the one that we're creating, but there's quite a lag going on. Really? Yeah, but there's a ton of people here at the collective on the Wi-Fi too. Oh, although for some weird reason we're actually not dropping that many frames. Well, actually, no, we're dropping 4%, so that's terrible. But well, I just saw the broadcast get interrupted here, so if this is a good opportunity since we've been on for a little while now. Yeah. About a half hour. Wow. Yeah. So this is a good opportunity to say, if you want a quality, uninterrupted broadcast of this, and you won't get the comments either, but go over to Richie's YouTube channel. Yeah. Happy Archaeology Fun Time. Yeah, and check it out there. He always uploads them, within a week or two usually. Yeah. He'll have because we've got the camera here that we're looking at, but then he's got a camera up behind us here that's actually recording a completely different video stream and audio stream. Yeah, and it'll be 1080p. Yeah. Because obviously there's no way to stream 1080p or even like 720, obviously. No. Are you well, at least not on Wi-Fi. Yeah. Are you taking those YouTubes and embedding them on your those YouTube videos and embedding them on your
Happy Archaeology Fun Time Facebook page as well yet?
I have been slowly.
Slowly? Okay.
Yeah. Well, because that's what, it's a long story. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. But basically, like, my whole idea with, like, completing this class I'm taking, the certification, is to, like, you know, come with a whole plan for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, because, you know, because I actually had been doing it, but more like randomly, like experimenting. But I realized, wow, I'm going about this completely wrong. Kind of like the example he uses, because in the course I'm taking, like, he takes this person who had just, like, had an Etsy store and was sure all the things she was doing wrong. It's like, wow, I'm doing that too. Yeah. But now I know a lot more.
Well, it helps to learn from the people who have made the mistakes themselves and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So look for Happy Archaeology Fun. Wait, I shouldn't say it because someone might steal the website name.
Yeah.
Because I haven't bought it yet.
Right.
But you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I hope you come up with a shortened version of that for the website name.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you got to buy them both. You got to buy the full one. Like, I have Archaeology Podcast Network, and then I finally bought ArcPodNet because I got tired of typing that in.
Ooh.
So they both route to the same page.
Yeah, which is the cool thing about the internet.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, but my God, speaking, you know, that actually transitions to my next thing. Because today I was, like, studying on how to get Google AdWords certified. Mm-hmm. And I was taking notes on that, but, you know, while I was taking notes, I was also cleaning out my Gmail account. And, like, one of those, you know, after I got rid of all the junk, my God, there's, like, 800 emails, unread emails of junk from, like, Dropbox.
Right.
And Glassdoor and everything. One of those things I realized is that, like, during the winters, like, one of the things I always did was, like, send out emails and keep in touch with people. Mm-hmm. And we were literally talking about this right before we started rolling, but when someone emails you, first off, let's go with, what should they be writing? Like, what should they even be putting in, like, the, you know, subject?
Well, place it into a little more context. When somebody
like,
emails me for what?
As a company owner, like, when some, like, graduate's like, oh my God, I have to get a job in archaeology now.
Right.
And I gotta start making contact and seeing if anyone has, like, any work.
Right.
Is willing to hire, like, a student with no experience. What should they be writing?
Well, I will tell you first off, I do... On the one hand, I do appreciate the sentiment behind basically cold emailing a company just to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
But what I would wish is that it was framed as more of an introductory email. Like, I probably don't need your CV in that introductory email.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not going to look at it. Yeah. If I'm not hiring, I don't care what your CV says. Like, I'm not just going to create a position for you and then hire you. I mean, that's just not going to happen. I mean, one in 20 companies you email might actually have a position that they haven't advertised for yet, and they just realize that, oh my God, this person's going to solve all my problems. I will create a job for them and now pay them. You know, that's probably not going to happen at an archaeology firm. So keep that in mind. If you're going to send an introductory email, and this is just my own personal preference, really, first off, research me. And I'm a special case. If I'm looking for some other PI at a company, I might not be able to find much information about them online. But if you're going to send me an email, you should already know that I run the Archaeology Podcast Network. Yeah. You should already know everything on my LinkedIn page. Oh, Rocky's watching. Hey, Rocky.
Hello.
I keep waving at like this screen, like it's somehow the camera. But anyway, you should know quite a bit about me because I don't hide much, right? Yeah. So bring that up in the introductory email. Say, hey, don't just talk about yourself. You're introducing yourself, but I want to know that you're not just some scam. You're not just fishing, out there, giving me all your information. I want to know that you looked me up a little bit and say, hey, I saw you, I heard it. It's the same thing with a cover letter. You say first where you met the person, and it's like, oh, I know you from the CRM Archaeology podcast, or you call this archaeology, and I watch you guys every week, and I like what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. Flattery will get you everywhere, and it'll make me read the rest of the thing, because we're all egotistical in the end. Yeah. And then say, hey, I'm moving to your area, or I recently graduated, or I was doing this, and then don't just leave it out there like I'm looking for a job. If you're actually in my area, say, hey, can we hook up for coffee and I can pick your brain about stuff, or something like that. Right. Yeah, I mean, propose some sort of meeting that's mutually beneficial. Yeah.
Because you can't get something without giving something.
Right. And I know that people think that the only currency they have is their skills as an archaeologist. If I'm not specifically looking for that, then I probably don't need them.
See?
If I need your skills as an archaeologist, I'll put a job advertisement out there.
Or you'll just get on the phone and call all your friends.
Well, right, but this is assuming I've already done that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't see any advertisements for me out there, like on Shovel Bums, or more likely I'll start with Facebook because it's free and there's a pretty huge pool of people on there.
Yeah.
So I'll start with Facebook. I might put something on LinkedIn. Who knows? But that's what I'm going to do first. And if you've done your research, you'll know whether or not I have something out there. If I don't have anything out there, also I get a surprisingly high number of emails, people asking me if I know of any work in the area.
Really?
Like I'm not. I mean, sure, I'm kind of plugged into the scene, but I'm also not really working for other companies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably tell you if I know of a company that's hiring somewhere, but I don't generally get that information from other companies. I'll see that information in the same place you will, and it tells me you're being lazy. You know, there's not some secret society in every town where all the company owners get together and talk about all the jobs they have available.
Oh my God! Or how to screw over like people who aren't in the secret archaeology union that we're all part of and keeping out new people.
Right, totally. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. So all I'm going to say, I'll end it by saying if you're going to cold email somebody that you don't know, propose some kind of thing. Propose some kind of meeting, where you meet for coffee and you just want to talk about the area. You want to talk about something they're doing. People like flattery. If you want to talk about it and say, hey, I listen to podcasts. I just wanted to sit and pick your brain about some stuff or whatever. That would get me. And also, I know you're probably unemployed, which is why you're doing this. But if you can, pay for the coffee.
That too. But
pay for the drink.
Well, for me, it's just like I just knew some of these people from being friends of friends. It's like, this person said, hey, you're the person to email. I'm looking for work too, because we're all looking for work. And so that's how I got my email chain started. Or alternatively, I ran into them at conferences, which is why you should always talk to people at conferences.
Right.
Like, hey, I remember you. You said to send me my CV. Mm-hmm. Although the last time that happened, I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Well,
But it's also super interesting because when I say I was clearing out my email, from the moment my Gmail account was started, that's how long it's been since I ever cleaned it out.
That's probably a long time.
Yeah, so I'm like, wow. So it's like, oh my God. When I first started my Gmail account, this person was at this company, and then there's email chains from another company. Mm-hmm. It's interesting following them through their career.
Right. Which is excavating your Gmail account.
Yeah.
Through time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The stratigraphy of email.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, that should be like a CRM art podcast thing. How to develop contacts or how to get your foot in the door or something like that.
Right. Yeah, we really should. I know we've talked about it in the past about networking and building your personal brand and things like that because Bill White's all over that. So we have. I hope this broadcast isn't interrupted for everyone, but it says it's interrupted on my side.
No. Uh-oh.
We have. I'll just keep going for this other audience.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have talked about some of the stuff like that on the CRM Archaeology podcast, but it's an episode that we should do periodically.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It is totally interrupted. We are dropping...
all the frames?
No, about 95.4%.
Jesus.
But whatever, it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that totally interrupts my flow now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, man. Now that we're completely dropped all the frames, maybe now's the time to start talk about that archaeology union.
Yeah, right. Well, nobody's watching.
Yeah, didn't someone ask you about that? On Facebook? I saw that.
I mean, it goes around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes around. You saw the one from Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Archaeology unions come and go. Well, the idea about it does, but like all things everywhere, I mean, it really just takes some dedication and a few people to actually set it up.
Yeah.
That's the real crappy thing about my involvement with it is if I wasn't doing anything else, that would be my focus right now.
Really?
Is setting up an archaeology union.
Really?
I'd be doing the research on what other unions are doing. I would be finding the people to help found it.
Yeah.
And drafting the certain documents you need to do all that. I'd be totally focusing on that, but I'm so swamped about the other stuff I'm doing, which I figure is good to be swamped in because I also figure that the things I'm doing, like the APN, are necessary things that we need in archaeology. They're things that are important for our field to have. But these frames that we're dropping, and we keep coming back a little bit here, reminds me that every time you publish to YouTube, you probably ought to go back and find the post on the APN and comment with the YouTube link.
Oh my god, I was gonna do that with the I forget it was yesterday or today, but the Irish island.
Oh yeah.
Because if you watch The Last Jedi, that's the site.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a pure coincidence that I chose that topic on that day, like the day Star Wars The Last Jedi came out. Pure coincidence.
Oh my god, is now the time to say that I thought it was the best Star Wars movie ever.
Oh my god.
Now that no one could hear it.
here come the comments. Yeah.
Wait, what did you think of it?
I did too. I thought it was great.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it, actually.
Because I thought it was mediocre. Well, not like bad, but not like the best one. I thought it was good.
I don't look for that kind of movie to fulfill all my Star Wars wet dreams. Like, I really don't think that's going to happen. I honestly go into it as like a separate standalone movie from the entire Star Wars canon. I do that with Star Trek. I do that with Star Wars. I don't expect it to fill all my expectations because I didn't write the damn thing.
Yeah.
I am there as a participant observer, not even a participant observer, an unparticipating observer.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching what people are creating, and I'm okay with it.
The only problem I had, well, there were two problems, but the other one I forget about. But the not to spoiler it, but Benicio del Toro plays he's like a major part of the plot later in the movie, but it's impossible for him to be that major plot twist. It can't be because he doesn't know what he knows.
Right.
He can't know it because, the people he's with don't know it. They don't know the plot twist either. So how could he have known it?
It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, how the whole thing started, how he was even in that cell to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of that makes any sense.
Yeah, but when, when he does his thing and, it's like, but you can't know that.
I know.
That and Laura Dern's thing also annoys me.
Although I like her, she's pretty hot.
Yeah, no, but not her, but like what she does, like when what she does in the movie, like shouldn't she have done that at the beginning? Not the beginning of the movie, but
right
when that whole thing starts happening, that whole sequence starts happening. If she had done that, she could have saved everyone.
Yeah, and perhaps we should stop talking about this since we're reluctant to give spoilers. It makes it difficult to talk about. I mean, if you're going to talk about it and give spoilers, let's just say that.
All right.
So we don't have to speak in code. Keep going, though. I'm putting in a comment to check out your YouTube channel for an unbroken version of this.
Although you never know. I mean, is it really broken up?
It is on my side. If I were watching this right now on my iPad, I can barely see it.
Oh, man.
Actually, I should listen to the audio because I don't know what the video is terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. You know what I was thinking about earlier? Because I actually have a SoundCloud connected to my, YouTube persona thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking, man, I should rip the audio and, just upload it as a podcast. Because, last night I was listening to something, a 4-hour podcast about the Last Jedi. It's like, dude, the movie's only 3 hours long.
Yeah, well, people will talk stuff to death.
Yeah.
I do have some good news, though.
Yeah.
It sounds like the audio is not dropping at all.
Oh, ha!
So everybody can hear what you're saying.
So it's been all spoilered.
But they can't see it.
See, I'm so glad that Darth Vader was able to be resurrected at the end of The Last Jedi.
I know, wasn't that great? Yeah. And how he was like a barista at the Jedi coffee shop. That was pretty neat.
Oh my god, that was actually my favorite part of the original Austin Powers, if you remember that. Remember how Dr. Evil's organization made most of its money?
Starbucks.
Yeah.
We invested in a small Seattle-based coffee company.
Actually, that makes me think of my favorite comic I ever saw ever. It was these aliens landing on Earth next to a Starbucks. And the aliens get off the ship, and they're on the ramp. They're like, oh my god, they're everywhere here too?
Oh my god. Yeah. Nice. I've never seen that, but that's hilarious. I got to mention one thing here. Because a friend of mine, Josh McDonald, said he was watching, but I don't know if he's still watching.
Yeah.
I don't think that's very accurate on how many viewers we actually have.
Really?
Because you see a bunch of people are watching, but then it only says one viewer, which I know is me here. But anyway, he flies drones for people to take aerial imagery and stuff.
Yeah.
It made me think because they're on super sale right now, and I don't think I can pass it up. But I'm gonna go after this podcast is done. I'm going to Best Buy here in town.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pick up the DJI Goggles. Have you heard of those yet?
Yes.
So, I mean, they came out at $450 when they first came on the market, and now they're $350.
Really?
They're on sale. Yeah, and here's what I will tell you. If you're running a DJI drone right now, whether it's they're designed for the Mavic. They'll work wirelessly with the Mavic.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. But they will work with any of the DJI drones. From what I understand, I know the Inspire and I know the Phantom 4.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the earlier Phantom models, and I'm not sure about the Spark or anything like that. But what I do know is, on everything but the Mavic, if you've got the... oh, Rocky says the audio is good. Thanks, Rocky.
Yay. Thanks.
If you've got the HDMI out on your radio,
yeah,
you just plug that in with a cord right into the goggles.
Yeah.
So you go HDMI out from your radio into the cord. That way, whatever's coming in from the camera via radio is going into that HDMI right into your goggles. It also means you don't need the tablet or phone as your controlling screen anymore because you're using the overlay display on the goggles.
Yeah.
Excuse me, right? Well, here's a cool thing. And this is what I'm thinking for archaeology, and this is why I want to try it.
Yeah.
We often, like, I'll go out, and I haven't really done any real commercial stuff for archaeology, but I've done a lot of trial stuff, trying to play with it. And there's a couple ways if I want to take a photogrammetry sequence, like a photo sequence of a structure or an area or something like that, there's really kind of 3 ways I can do it right now.
Yeah.
One way is I can program in a flight path, so in an interval on pictures, right? I can say take pictures every 1.5 seconds on this flight path, but I have to do a lot of math to make that work.
Really?
Because you need 80% overlap on your pictures for a photoscan or any photogrammetry program to work.
Yeah.
So you need to get the speed and the shutter interval right to where you're getting that 80% overlap. If you go too fast, you'll have too much space. Or you'll get some blur in your photos or something. You don't want to do that. But if you go too slow, you'll just end up with way too many photos, which is a better problem to have than not too few. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to shoot high-quality video of that entire route and then take a few control shots with GPS location in it so you can plan everything in space.
Well, that's the way the Trimble drone works.
Well, yeah, and the thing with the video, though, is you either need, and the Trimble probably has software that they built to do this, but you can buy, or you can get free software, I've seen, that you can drop a video in and have that software pull stills out of your video, because for the photogrammetry program to work, you need stills.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting 4K video, you don't need to worry about speed. You can go super fast and then just pull the stills out of it. So if you can do that, that's fine. But here's another problem. Well, and then another way to do it, I guess, is to do it manually. Is to just, you're watching the screen and you're hitting the photo button. You're hitting the photo button whenever you need it. That's a little... I wouldn't do that because you wouldn't get enough photos. You wouldn't get it right. So the problem with the DJI Inspire, and I don't think the Phantom has this issue too much because the Phantom's camera isn't as controllable. With the Inspire's camera, you can run that thing all the way around. You can put it wherever you want. The problem is it's jerky. Like, there isn't an ease in and ease out. If you're familiar with video editing, there's ease in and ease out, right? That you can add as a transition. Yeah. It doesn't have that. Oh. So when I use the scroll button to go up on the camera, it's ka-chink, 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 like, it's very jerky.
Really?
Yeah, and if I'm going like if I'm moving it around like side to side, that's a little better. Yeah. But it's really just not very fluid. Now, if I take the Inspire and I take the second radio that we have for that, and I slave it to the first one, now the other radio's controls can actually just control the camera. Then I get a little bit better smooth movement on it. But it's still really difficult conceptually, unless you've got a lot of practice, for somebody to control that camera movement. Yeah. The DJI Goggles, however, you can set the drone up, or you can have someone else fly the drone if you got the Inspire and you got the 2 radios. You can set the drone up to be flying a certain flight path, and the camera can be tied to your head movements.
Ooh, that's what I was about to say, because obviously it must have its own internal...
It does, and it's got the tracking on that. So it knows where it's at in space. Once you calibrate it, you can say, I'm looking forward, and the minute you start going like this, you're now moving the camera in whatever direction you're looking in. So my thinking is, if you're flying over something or you're doing something, you can be looking exactly at where it needs to be.
Wait, is that the way the goggles worked when, that dude was, like, out front with his, like, little tiny drones, and you were playing around with them? Remember?
Where was that at?
Like, out front.
Oh. No, kind of. He had I guess essentially, yes. Yeah. The answer to that question is yes. He had first-person point of view goggles. Oh. And he was running the drone on that. The difference here is, well, I guess there really is no difference. It's just a better, way higher quality. Yeah. That's all it is. I mean, it's going to be amazing quality, to see those. Plus, DJI now has a new, they have a new, what is it, what do they call it? They call it like fixed wing aircraft simulator. And I don't really understand it. I feel like all it is you basically control throttle with your drone, with your radio. Oh. But it puts it into like a fixed wing kind of mode, which means you're no longer operating like a quadcopter. You're just using the throttle to go. Once you get to a certain speed, it turns into acting like a fixed wing airplane, which means you can look down, it'll go down, you can fly up, you can turn your head and do stuff like this and make it turn like you're running a flight simulator with your eyeballs.
You know what's interesting though is that Trimble's drone is actually a fixed wing aircraft.
Yeah, well, a lot of the high land acre survey aircraft drones are going to be fixed wing. Yeah, it's because the cameras they're using are better. They can go faster than drones typically.
I assume the battery economy is better.
Yeah, typically. Yeah, because you can get an all foam fixed wing with a heavy camera on it that's going to have big wings on it and a lot better lift capability than your typical quadcopter.
And probably more rugged.
I don't know about more rugged, but at least not as expensive to fix.
Yeah.
Like you bust off the foam wings on one of those things, you just get more foam wings.
Yeah. You know what's the super interesting thing to me, though? I was thinking about it the other day, because I was watching a YouTube channel called Flight Test. It's like one of my favorite ones. They do like, drones and RC aircraft.
Yeah.
And the other day, they were flying around an almost perfect scale replica of a Spitfire, but it was completely 3D printed and assembled. I was thinking, man, at some point, you won't even need DJI. You can just get plans off the internet and then send it to some company and then assemble it yourself.
For sure.
You can customize your own drone.
Yeah, why not?
My God, you can have your own Millennium Falcon drone or something.
Well, you can. I mean, there's plenty of kits out there for buying just motors and arms and 3D printing stuff and all these different things. I mean, if we wanted to buy the motors and stuff, we've got 2 3D printers right here behind us, and that's the guy that runs them right there.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Nick. So. There's lots of people creating their own drones.
Yeah.
And because you can get also the software is pretty easy too. Yeah. You just get these programmable things and you plug it into your computer and you program the drone to work. And I mean, it's
interesting. Makes me think of Sean.
Yeah.
Although it seems like he went a more circuitous route.
But here, let me tell you this though. If we're talking archaeology, if we're going to bring this back, here's the thing. I know people like to be tinkerers, and it's often the case with an archaeology firm where you've got 2 types of people working at that firm.
Yeah.
And this is every single archaeology firm I know of has these 2 types of people.
Yeah.
The people who are way into archaeology and could care less about anything else, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the people who are archaeologists but also have some side hobbies that they're trying to bring in. And usually those side hobbies are tech related.
Yes.
Might be illustration, might be something like that,
but
it's usually tech related. So you'll have 1 or 2 techie people on the crew or in the company. And when you have a techie person in there, they're usually, this is where I feel like I'm a little bit different, because I don't like to tinker. I like stuff that works.
Yes.
And I want to buy something off the shelf that just boom, does the job for me.
Yeah.
So these people I feel like are giving almost giving the abilities of some of this tech a bad name when they get something that's highly programmable and modifiable, like the 3DRs and stuff like that that our friend Sean likes. Sure, you can program those, but there's plenty of off-the-shelf solutions that'll do exactly what you need.
Exactly.
Most of those are the DJI brand because they're actually really good quality and they do what they need to do. I mean, there's no faulting. It's a Chinese company, but I'll tell you what, they do a good job.
Yeah, but I remember you had some issues when you were first trying to order it.
Well, we got a bad one from the factory. Yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah, because I heard about that on the Archaeotech podcast.
I know, sure, that happens. We had a bad camera. The drone flew okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we just had a bad interface between the camera and the drone. So whatever that circuit board was, I don't know what the deal was, but we had to send the entire thing back because they couldn't diagnose it. Oh. So we had to put the whole thing back in a box and send it to, at least we had to send it to the repair facility in Southern California, not China, where the drone actually came from. They have repair facilities all over the country.
Thank God.
Yeah. So we sent it back to them because it was within the 7 days that we bought it. There's a very short period of time when you get a full refund on it.
Yeah.
We were outside that window. Otherwise, probably would have gotten a full refund.
Yeah.
Because the project that we actually bought it for, it came after we got back from that project. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Interesting.
Anyway, I just heard somebody say the other day, DJI's out of China, and people, the phrase this guy said about Chinese products is he's like saying everything that comes out of China is bad and poor quality is like saying, water is no good. And what he meant by that is, in some places, water is bad. In some places, you shouldn't drink the tap water. But in some places, you can. And in some places, water is actually not that bad to drink. But it's like saying everything out of China is bad. Everything out of China is not bad. Some things out of China are bad. And because China has such a high volume of stuff, and because as Americans we buy a lot of cheap crap, we get the impression that everything out of China is bad.
Well, where does your iPhone come from?
Your iPhone's built in China, man.
Exactly.
I mean...
Just like all your Android phones.
And so is the DJI line of drones.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is built in China.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're bad.
See?
Yeah. So...
although they might be spying on you for the Chinese government.
I mean, sure. You know, if the Chinese government gets their kicks off of watching me fly my drone, then more power to them.
It's interesting, though. If you had to choose again today, would you choose a quadcopter or would you choose a fixed-wing drone to do some of the stuff you're doing?
I would definitely choose a quadcopter as the first one to own. Because a lot of the stuff that I want to do is a little more close in, a little more, like I'm working on like a kind of a side research project involving petroglyphs right now that I just kind of came up with in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And so when I say working on, I mean just thinking about it right now. But I'm probably going to implement this real soon, depending on how much snow we just got.
Oh.
And maybe you can go with me.
Maybe.
But anyway, what I'm looking at is it's petroglyphs, and what I want to do simply couldn't be done with a fixed wing.
Really?
Yeah, it's too close. It's too tight of turns. It's too close in. You really need a quadcopter for this. But if I were to buy a second one, the second one would be fixed wing. Because fixed wing, you got to see, it's about using the right tool for the right job. You have to use, again, the right tool for the right job. So if you're going to do a big, high-level aerial photography survey, or you're going to do an aerial survey of anything of, you know, more than a few acres probably, you probably should use fixed wing. Because you're going to be able to cover a lot more ground in a lot shorter period of time. But then again, it depends on what you're doing. If you want to do some like infrared stuff or some other type of spectrums, you're probably going to want to go with a hexcopter or an octocopter, because it's going to have a heavier payload. Because that's the other downside with fixed wing, is once you start getting up into the size of fixed wing aircraft that can handle those heavier payloads, you may as well just rent a freaking airplane. Right? Because it's going to have to be bigger and bigger and bigger. But a quadcopter can be smaller. It's going to be expensive, don't get me wrong. But a quadcopter can be smaller and carry those heavier payloads because of the way that it works. I mean, that's why you see heavy lift helicopters out there, you know, carrying those heavy things.
But man, flight time, like total flight time must be really low.
Well, it comes down to batteries. You need batteries. I mean, I don't care what you're doing. If you're going to use this for archaeology at all, you better have a backpack full of batteries and expect to pay for them. The battery for the DJI Inspire Pro is $200.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And you get 12 to 15 minutes out of it.
Man.
If you were going to do this, if I was doing this all the time, the first thing I'd be buying with my clients' money is batteries. I would build in a new battery to every single project, or probably 2 or 3 of them. And you buy the charging hubs, the ones that plug into the battery on your car, and you charge 6-8 batteries at a time.
Oh my god, that's just like, you know, next time I'll build a computer, or even right now, I invest all my money, like not in cameras or lenses, but in memory. And scratch drives.
Yeah, well, batteries are a thing, and it's funny we're talking about that, because I should have mentioned this on the Archaeotech podcast that we recorded today. Just as a point of news, because it's finally coming out, and Apple's admitting to it, that they have, I don't know if it's a result of an update or if it's built into the OS, but they have it, I'm just going to say built in because that's what it sounds like to me. But they have it built into the OS that your phone will slow down as it gets older. And it's not a function of age. It's a function of the battery strength. So as your battery becomes less effective, they're physically slowing your phone down. And some people think, I'm not trying to give Apple the benefit of the doubt here, I'm just trying to think from a technical standpoint, why would they do this?
Why not?
Some people are automatically saying it's because Apple's a bunch of bastards and they want you to buy a new phone because yours is going slower. But what they're really doing is it's like anything else. You slow it down because it's not capable of going at certain speeds. So if you're running your phone at high capacity and you're running a video game or something and your battery gets down to 15% and your phone shuts off because your battery's 3 years old and it dies at 15% now, not at 3%, then you're going to be pretty pissed. So from a customer service standpoint, they just slow your phone down. So most everything works all the way down like normal.
And more importantly, if you're the sort of person who automatically updates all your apps are basically designed to use the newest, fastest processor, and if your phone's a little older, it's going to like burn through battery that much quicker. Right,
so they'll slow your phone down so you can't even run those apps, and if you try to run those apps, it'll just crash your phone, you know, because your battery's too old. Now, that stands, the easy way to test this hypothesis,
Yeah.
which I haven't read too many of the articles that are about this. They're all coming out today, so I haven't really poured through them yet. But the easy way to test this hypothesis is to take a 3 or 4 year old iPhone and replace the battery.
Oh.
If you replace the battery and it speeds right back up like it was brand new, then that theory is correct. Apple's software is reading your battery capacity and saying...
That can't be easy, though, because they don't make it easy to get in there.
No, but there's plenty of repair facilities out there that will replace your battery.
True.
Plenty of people out there will do it.
True.
The Apple retail store, I think, will do it. If you go in, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, don't quote me on that. I know they'll do it if there's a problem. I'm not sure if they'll do it just because you ask them to do it. I mean, obviously you pay for it.
Yeah.
But, and I know if you have a battery issue, more than likely they'll just swap out your phone. But that I think is a warranty thing. But anyway, there's plenty of repair facilities out there.
Yeah.
That, I mean, they're buying Apple batteries. Of course, I've heard sketchy things about those too. like they'll buy, packs of used phones and pull the batteries out and just put that in your phone so you don't even know what you're getting. It's not actually a new battery.
Ugh.
Like, how do you get a new battery for like an iPhone 5? They don't even make those anymore.
Oh, that's true. But, but it's like this computer we're broadcasting on. Like, it was just some generic thing out of China for the new power cord. Yeah,
for the new power cord, sure. But the battery in there is custom for that MacBook Pro.
True.
Like, there's only a certain number of years that battery actually fits.
True.
And that battery was actually replaced a few years ago. So, actually 2 years ago, I think. So, if you were to pull that battery out and try to replace it again in a couple of years, it would be really difficult because unless somebody's making them third party, and I don't see a huge market for that. People get rid of their computers too much.
That's true.
So I don't know if there's even a market for. You still see people rocking the old white MacBooks that are 10 years old at this point.
Yeah, I've got one sitting in my closet or something.
Someplace. I know. Try to find a battery for that. That's less than the value of the computer.
Actually, it's easy. eBay.
Sure, but is it a new battery?
Yeah.
And where did it come from? Who's making that?
China, obviously.
I know, but it just doesn't seem to me like there's a market in the world for that.
There actually is.
Huh. Well, I guess there's a lot more out there. Well, that's a testament to the Apple computers, though.
Yeah. Or
that there is a market.
Alternatively hipsters, because we saw someone using that at the coffee shop up the street.
Okay, let me use a different example then. Let me pull out your 1997 compact with a Q laptop and tell me if you can find a battery for that somewhere online.
No.
Probably
Although there are people who restore and use those things.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah, but finding power for them is really difficult.
Yeah.
But they run on a power cord, so they probably don't need to run on the battery.
Oh my god, speaking of battery-powered things, the other day, when I was sitting outside my apartment, like, I saw a customized, I don't know what they call it, but the Nissan thing, the Nissan electric thing.
Oh, like a Leaf or something?
Yeah. It's like, wow, electric cars are becoming so common these days that people are buying used ones and customizing them. It's like, that is crazy. Because I know that people keep saying electric cars are not going to take off, but yet we live in like a very conservative town-ish.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many do we see around here?
I was told when I sold my Prius at CarMax 2.5 months ago, and I just jokingly asked if they had any Teslas on the lot, and they said, yeah, we just sold one yesterday. And I was like, who the hell put a Tesla? Who sold a Tesla to CarMax, first off? And they were like, it was a woman who just it wasn't the car she thought it was. And she didn't want to, she just sold it to CarMax. And I was like, my God, I didn't ask how much they got for it and how they held their value. I'm willing to bet it holds its value pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a 3 because the 3s aren't even really out to sell.
Yeah.
So it must have been, the only other cars are a minimum of, I think, 60 or 70,000.
Really?
Brand new, yeah. Like the lower end, high end Teslas.
Yeah.
I think they start around 60 or 70.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Oh my God.
We should switch to the to the outro as we're at an hour and 10 minutes on my clock.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy now that I think about it.
Yeah, no, it goes fast.
Let's see. Oh, I hate having to do that every time.
So.
Whoops. Why are you not transitioning? Because I didn't hit it. Because I can't see.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Have, outro music, too. My God, I can actually do that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So, yeah. As we're transitioning out here, I don't know. I assume we'll be able to do this next Wednesday. I think we're going to try to hit Wednesdays from here on out, right?
Yeah, but then there'll be drop frames all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Weekends are difficult, but maybe we can just move to later on Wednesdays or something.
Although it has to be pretty late now that we're only dropping half our frames.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. Well, people start to leave here between 5 and 6. It starts to really clear out. So,
really?
And it's after 5 now. So, yeah. I mean, most of these people are freelancers. They're working working for other companies, doing different things. So
Ooh, I want to do that too.
I know, right?
Hopefully by the new year.
Yeah,
that's what I'm aiming for.
There you go. So we didn't really mention it, but check out on the Archaeology Podcast Network side. You can see, well, I saw previously, arcpodnet.com/shop. You can still use the code HOLIDAY15 for 15% off of everything through December 31st, except for t-shirts. And, you know, go pick that stuff up. Pretty much saves you on tax and probably a little bit of the shipping.
Really?
Well, actually, there is no tax if you don't live in Nevada. So it would just be shipping, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, check out arcpodnet.com/members. We actually got a couple new members this last week.
Really?
Yep. And a new pro member and a new standard member, I think. And,
wow.
Yeah, so they're trickling in, you know.
Yeah.
Once we get up to about 150 members or so, I don't have to worry where my next meal's coming from. That'll be nice.
You say that, and then you get the 150, and it's like, where's my next Model 3 coming from?
I know, right? Yeah. So let's have a fun drive for my Model 3. Actually, I want a Model S. So, you know, who needs a Model 3? I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding. It's but I would love to. Speaking seriously, I would love to be able to compensate our hosts for the material that they create for us.
Yeah.
And that's really my big goal, to be able to do that. I've seen other models from other networks where they pay, you know, for a show that's once every 2 weeks, that's about an hour, which is typical of a lot of our shows. You're looking at a couple $100 per episode to the host, and that's common for other networks. But that's other networks that started in a different way than the APN did. The APN kind of grew up a little bit organically, and we just blew up with different shows and stuff before we really knew what the hell we were doing.
And not only that, but also for new equipment, maybe upgraded internet, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to do that not only on this side, but on the other side for our hosts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, help upgrade their stuff. I bought a few microphones. I bought probably 5 or 6 ATR 2100s to upgrade the audio on the host side.
Yeah. Standard.
Right, yeah, classic. Well, it'd be nice to have all the same microphones and the same audio quality. Yeah. It would be really great, but we'll get there. And also their recording environment, you know, that's a little more difficult to improve. Yeah. But you know, maybe we can pay for memberships to the podcast studios that are popping up around the country. You know, for people that are close to one, so they can go record in different places.
Is the subscription here live yet?
I don't think so. I think they're waiting until this room is fully fleshed out. Yeah, and that's why I mentioned earlier in the show, this room, we're waiting on a table that they're actually building, custom, at another kind of like, it's kind of a co-working place, but it's more of a maker space in town. Yeah. They're actually cutting a wooden table out of this laser cutting machine. Yeah. And so that'll be a completely different look. Hopefully the next time we record this, in a week, that'll be done. And our mics will be coming up. I don't know how he's going to configure it, but everything will be different. So
I just had the most brilliant idea ever. Build a box here, put lights in it, and make it a green screen so you can put in whatever background you want.
Well, that's why we might be recording from that room that you can't see back there in the video, because that might end up being a video room, and we might just do the whole podcast from there. Ooh. Yeah, with an entire green screen behind us.
Neat.
Yeah. So, but then we need software that can adapt to that green screen live. Does OBS do that?
Well, I know people plug into it because that's like when I watch Twitch, everyone uses like a background replacement. That way
I suppose.
Yeah, that way they're not like, you know, you don't see their room, you just see their head.
Yeah.
On a thing.
Yeah, I'd like to put us on a beach or an archaeology site.
Oh, because I was just gonna build like a room or something in like Illustrator.
Nice.
Yeah.
Build like a fake room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that before too. It's pretty neat.
Oh my god. So, could be like Indiana Jones themes or something. I'll think of something.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, that's all I've got.
Yeah, same here.
And I didn't put the link, but I put down Richie's Happy Archaeology Fun Time in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get Richie to link those YouTube episodes over to the comments so people can know exactly where to find them.
Oh. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I think that would be great if you just grab the link and drop in a comment for each episode. That'd be perfect. So when somebody goes and sees it, they can see what's going on.
Interesting.
And an old high school classmate of mine, Frank Mesa, is now watching right at the end. Yeah.
Wow.
So back it up and watch the whole thing, Frank. Although I don't know how much you'll get out of it.
Well, at least he's hearing us.
Because you call this archaeology. So, yeah. All right. That's all I've got.
Really?
Yep. Thanks, everybody, and happy holidays or whatever you support.
Oh, my God. Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.
Don't forget your feats of strength.
Feats of strength. That's right. And the airing of grievances.
Isn't that really what the holidays are about?
I know, right?